Good afternoon. A couple hands to go through. Hand number one, I have 10-8 of clubs. We have under the gun raises. He's currently playing 21-10, 4% 3 bet. His raise first in stat from early positions 13%, so I do think he's going to be pretty tight. We're probably sevens plus, probably ace king, ace jack suited plus, probably ace queen offsuit, maybe ace queen offsuit, maybe ace 10 suited, king jack suited, something high like that. Maybe we can add in some of the rest of these pocket pairs. He is under the gun, so I think he'll be a little bit tighter. Um, that's 11%. And if you notice that his raise first in stat was 13%, but it was 4 out of 30, so only 30 hands. Having one more or one less hand is going to change that percentage by several percentage points. So this is probably good. We could probably get rid of 5s and 6s. So that's his range. And then it comes to me. Should I call? Should I fold? We're in the cutoff. If we look behind us, you can see that we have only one player that seems to be loose. He's 59-22. He calls 2 bets 23% of the time. The other remaining players seem to be pretty tight, so I kind of think that if I call here, he's probably going to call as well. So I do have a note that he calls 2 bets from the blind with ace 2 offsuit, so he's probably going to be set somewhat wide. Could we 3-bet? I think 3-betting is going to get us heads up, more than likely get us heads up. In a situation where we're really not blocking any cards and we're probably not going to generate many folds. So this is 10%, 10.3%. I think if I raise, he's probably just going to come along with his pocket pairs and hope to set mine. He's probably going to fold some of these weaker cards. So, if we get rid of those, he might even fold the ace queen offsuit, might continue with that. So 6% out of 10%. So he's continuing 60% of the time, which I think could be favorable. But I think overall, I don't think this is really a hand we should try to bluff 3-bet. I think if we had, let's say, ace 8, it'd be a little bit better because it's going to reduce the times that he has aces. And if called, when we spike an ace, we're probably going to be ahead. So I think calling is going to be okay. And what we see is that we get 2 callers behind us. So let's switch to multiplayer mode. So that is that player. All right, so I've got my 10-8 clubs here. Just you can see we're at 35%, and then villain 11 calls. So he's playing 24. He's going to be pretty tight. He calls 2 bets 16%. When we look at his pre-flop call 2-bet on the button, it's 5%. 3-bet on the button is 5%. So 1 out of 22 raise. He calls 1 out of 22. I think that he is going to be pretty narrow in his range. So I'm going to guess probably these pocket pairs. Maybe not even all the pocket pairs. And then I do see people tend to play these suited aces. And maybe ace queen. Maybe something like that. And then this last player is playing 59-22. He is in the small blind. Small blind. This is the first time he's called, so what we're going to assume is that he is pretty darn wide. He didn't 3-bet, so we're going to give him most of the cards. Then we're going to take out, aces and kings. So he hasn't 3-bet out of 89 hands, so we'll go with that. So you can see the breakdown. I mean, we're not doing too bad. 21% overall. And I think we've got a favorable situation where if we spike a favorable flop, we do have a chance to take somebody's stack. Now villain 11, I'm a little we should probably go back because he is going to be a short stack. So he could have just shoved, which makes me think perhaps he doesn't necessarily have one of these pocket pairs, or I don't know. This is 5NL, so sometimes players are a little bit strange. So I do have his 3-bet range, his kings, plus, and jacks. So let's drop those. Let's say he would have raised with his suited aces, but maybe not the ace jack. Let's say something like that. All right, so we see a board of 8-5-2, 8 of hearts, 5 of spades, 2 of hearts. All right, so you can see that we actually spiked the top pair here, which is actually pretty good. Overall, when you think about the hands, you can see that we're at 30%, but we have 2 opponents that are going to be, close to us. So basically, it first 2 check to me. This first guy, this super wide range, I think is just going to check no matter what. This guy had the opportunity to bet, so I think at this point, so I'm thinking maybe overpair, set straights, top pair, pocket pair below top pair probably would have bet. So I think we're going to take this out and say that he's got basically all of those. I actually think flush draw would have probably bet too, as well as, any of the pairs and stuff. So I think we're going to be pretty tight for him, which is going to change our range. So you can see he drops down and we're still ahead. And then we've got these other 2 players. So against him, when we look at his hands, I mean, if we bet here, I do think he's going to probably fold, but he's going to call flushes. I think he's going to call. I can't imagine he's going to call with overcards. So I think he's really only going to be calling, flush draw and then his pairs. So pocket pairs less than the top card, probably just going to call, hoping that I didn't hit a pair. But even then, overpair plus. So he's calling 30%, which means he's folding 70%. And then this other player here, same kind of thing. His fold to c bet is actually pretty high, but this wouldn't technically be a c bet. So I do think if I bet, he's probably going to call a bit more. So we'll see what happens. So I do bet. I like my bet. I bet half pot. I do think I should have bet more. I probably should have bet. He had 9.4. I should have probably bet 10 big blinds here. He calls, so I'm gonna guess. So I'm gonna leave this as his calling range, and that's gonna drastically change our percentages. And then the other 2 fold. So let's get rid of him. Let's get rid of him. Click again to confirm. So now it's just the 2 of us. And the ace of diamonds comes out, and at that point, it doesn't hit me. He's probably ahead. I check. I mean, I could bet, but at this point, I think he's going to be committed no matter what. So, we said, hold on. Well, that's me. That's him. That's him. That's better. So ace of diamonds now. When you look at it, I'm at 11%. I don't think he's gonna fold. I do think if he bets, so like I check and he bets, I'm getting 9%. I think I'm 11%. Would he bet everything? Yeah, probably. I think he's gonna go ahead, even bet his flush draws, which includes that ace now. So it's just one of those things where I think if I bet 10, that's a whole lot better than just betting this, 6. So I called, and 9 comes out, and at this point he shows ace 10. So he was on that flush draw. I think he would have called. I think he would have called anyways if I bet 10 big blinds. So I can't really fault him. So yeah, I had this hand. I did have ace 10 in his range. Well, actually, I didn't. I didn't have ace 10 in his range, but it kind of matches where he's not gonna. I think he would have raised those hands all in. So you expand his range and it's still the same situation. I think it's pocket pair, probably over pair, and then that flush draw. All right, so let me stop this and get hand number 2 ready. All right, second hand is ace jack off. We are 5-handed. This is a 2-NL game, so really anything can happen. So I do have villain 1 raises. He raises kind of small, 2.5 big blinds. He's playing 7-3 right now with 29 hands. And when we look at what he could possibly do it with, I kind of go through and say, what hands would have raised larger? And I think with this size, it almost seems like he would have raised larger with the aces, kings, and ace king. So perhaps he's raising a little bit smaller because he's unsure how to play him. So I think I kind of set up something tight like this because, again, he's only playing 7-3. And then, I call with that, with ace jack. And I think it's questionable. I think since he raised 2.5, it's probably would be better to actually raise him and challenge him because, with that raise, I kind of think he'll probably fold these unpaired hands and probably just come along with the pocket pairs. And that means that I'm going to be able to steal a lot of pots on the flop. So I do think with a tight player like this, and especially with the smaller raise size, pre-flop raise size, I think a raise would have been a little bit better. So then we get a call in both of the blinds. So I already started working on the blinds here. So we've got 36-8. We've got a 43-14. It's not overly large. From the small blind, he calls basically only 2 hands there. So, I mean, we've got a few number of hands. So let's kind of go through and see what we can do here. I do think with this guy calling, he's probably going to be playing all of these aces. We'll take out kings plus ace king. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe jacks out of there. We'll add in more of these suited connectors. We'll take out the offsuits. That's 31%. That's probably decent situation. And then we're probably, big blind's probably playing a wider range. So I think we're going to go more like this for him. All right, and I've got ace jack, so you can kind of see that when you look at these hands, this guy's going to have the highest amount of equity, and then the rest is going to be split among the rest of us. So let's see what happens. Is that right? Yeah, so we took out ace jack. I guess we're not seeing what ace jack is. So let's add this. We've got ace of diamonds, jack of spades. So what we're going to do is take those out. We will do ace of diamonds, jack of spades, suit selection. Want that, apply selection. So ace of diamonds, jack of spades. All right, now we're getting a much better set. So we're at 24%. That's 35%. So we flop top pair. We've got the ace of diamonds. And we have this first guy going bets here. So we've got jack of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, and 10 of clubs. He leads, which I have to think that, when we look at, the effective stacks, why would he lead? I don't think he would lead with the straights or sets. Probably don't even think he'd lead with 2 pairs. I think maybe top pair, maybe bottom pair, any pair here. Flush draw, probably not. Open-ended straight draw. I think those are all hands that would have probably just check and called, especially at 2-0. So I think he has, more of a pair type of range. And then you get this guy calls. Now he bet half pot, and then he calls half pot. What is he going to call with? I do think straight's probably going to raise because the flush is out there. He just called. I think a set's going to call, overpair is going to call, top pair is going to call, flush draw is going to call. We'll say open-ended straight draws calls with both 2 card and 1 card. And then it comes back to me. This guy, the big blind, he folds. So it is the 3 of us, and you can see at this point, oops, looks like it crashed. Yep, so at that point, we're looking at not having a huge edge, equity edge, and yeah, there's our, it crashed, opened up. So let's see if I could remember this. Maybe something like that. Then this other guy was, I think we did this. That's probably something like that. And then I had the ace jack. So overall, when you looked at it, I think I only had about 20%. I think you can discount the diamonds because we have the ace of diamonds here. So the question is, should we continue? Should we fold? I definitely had more than 20%, so I should call and see what at least the turn brings. If I raise, do I think I'm going to get a fold? Probably not. I think if I raise, especially at this level, the open-ended straights are going to call. I think the diamond draws are going to call. I think I'm getting called by the trips 2 pair by hands that beat us. So I think at this point we should probably just call. I didn't do that. I raised, and he definitely shoved, and then he calls. So at this point, I have to think I am behind big time. So let's do this. We had jack of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 10 of clubs. We had ace of diamonds, jack of spades. Got that. And then we have this was, he donks. Took all of those out. I raise and he calls. So I'm going to take out. Okay, so if he has pocket pair below top pairs, we are going to call this one minus the queen jack. Or actually, let's just do this. I think 7 folds. I think the 8 calls. I don't think bottom pairs. Top pair calls. So that's his calling range. We said he was going to call with all of those, and then he's going to call probably with everything again. So you can see that once I shove all in, I'm going to be behind. I really don't think I'm getting enough folds to justify, raising at that point. So when I raise and then all of a sudden he shoves, this should be my clue that I should be folding. and unfortunately I do have 30% equity. So you can see equity's 39. I win 20%. I'm getting the pot odds, unfortunately, to call, but I don't think I ever should have called. So let's see this. We see a king and then a 3 diamonds. He shows ace queen for the straight, and then he shows 9 for trips. And I think that's surprising. So I'm not too surprised here. I think we had the open-ended straight draw. We had the ace queen in his. Whoops, sorry. We had the ace. We did it backwards. So I do think we would have had the ace queen for this guy's range, because he would have called the top pair. He would have called all of those along with the flush draw and open-ended straight draws. So that would have included the ace queens. This guy would have been top pair. And then when I shove, I don't think he is calling with any of those anymore. And I think the bottom pair, yeah, we'll leave that. So I didn't think he was going to donk with a set. So I think here what we can do is just make a note that says flop. Donked into multi-way pot with trips on 3 straight board. This guy seemed like he was on a draw. So I'll say we had one hand, we didn't get the other hand, because normally donk bets don't include trips or 2 pair or anything better than that. All right, so we had some minor hiccups with this Flopzilla Pro. We'll keep working with it. Maybe we'll avoid any sort of crashing in the future. All right, look tomorrow for a couple more hands.